This week's episode was brought to you by Corey Mounts and Tristan Torres. Thank you, Corey Mounts and Tristan Torres. It's with the generous support of listeners like you that our rabbit researchers continue optimizing the delivery of Lifetrons in every fresh can of Ubik, which is available to all our subscribing listeners traversing the Duat. Just dial the phone number on the back of your handbook for the recently deceased to schedule your delivery. If you'd like to help keep Kav revitalized in the realm of the dead, or just hear the second half of this episode, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you instant access to our second uncensored half of this episode. Oh no, you'll get the second extended uncensored fate-inducing edition of each and every single one of our episodes. But not only that, you'll be sent a 5x5 vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art at no additional cost. And if that were not enough, instant access to our Discord server, where we discuss alien cyclists and the alchemy of Lego. If you're interested in receiving a tarot reading from yours truly, check out our $20 a month tier, which is good for one short reading over video each month you're signed up. Redeem once per month when you're ready. In this week's episode, we pick up on part 2 of our journey through the occult self-help classic, The Power of Clairvoyance and Telepathy by William Walter Atkinson, under his pen name, of course, of Swami Panchadasi. In the free side of the show, we discuss the Akashic Records, subconscious knowing, the gift of prophecy, the psychic energy of crowds, kind of important, and astral travel. In the extended side of the show, we continue by jumping into telekinesis, using focused visualization to influence energy, wink wink, the godly powers of auramaxxing, and how to control people's minds at a distance. Thank you, and enjoy the show. You know when my doctor told me I'm able to astral project at night?
Yeah.
I was beside myself.
T.
I like that one.
You know what they say, with great power comes greater difficulty in factoring the polynomial.
Yeah?
That's a math joke. I don't know if it fits with the rest of the jokes, but it's about powers. You see, we caught you off guard, because humor is about what you don't expect coming.
Nerd!
Which is hard if you're psychic.
I thought there was going to be a second half to it.
No, that's it. What did the piece of toast say to the psychic?
What?
You bred my mind. Why would you hire a psychic hooker?
Why?
So you could have your mind blown.
Oh, T.
All right, that's the best one so far.
I didn't expect a laugh from that.
No, that was good.
That's a good one.
What?
Not that much of a prude.
What do you call a giant psychic who manipulates the stock market?
What?
Come on, guys.
A giant psychic
Mm-hmm.
that manipulates the stock market.
That is the case. A tall medium who shorts.
I don't get it. I guess I just don't know anything about stock markets.
Tall medium. What does that mean?
He's a giant psychic who manipulates the stock market.
Yeah, but where does medium fit into the stock market?
Because he's psychic.
Because he's psychic.
I just don't. I don't understand.
Tall medium who shorts.
Yeah. I don't get the shorts part. So
What's
that's probably the stock
Shorts,
market.
like you buy it at a low price and then you sell it at a high price.
Oh, yeah,
Or you buy it at a low price, like when you know it's going to go down. I think that's what you do.
That's what it is. Because the first
Yeah, you
one is
buy
how
it.
normal stocks work.
Yeah, but you can also be like, this stock's going to fall. So you like put it in an order for like $20 below and you get it because you shorted it.
Don't you like buy it for a future price or something? I don't know. You have to be psychic.
Well, you have to buy and sell in a certain amount of time to short the stock.
Do you
But
think
it's
AI
going down while you're doing it.
Do you think AI can do this?
Probably.
It also helps if you're like an insider and you can cause a disaster to happen, or you know a disaster is going to happen.
Or you know what's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people shorted that GameStop thing. The GameStop stocks.
That's because they read the book that we're going to be talking about this week.
Everybody was going in at a certain time and then to get out. I love looking at stock charts and like I'm a cryptocurrency nerd, but it's because when I look at the charts, it's showing me like the pulse of what's going on in the human psyche all around at that time.
There's a lot of psychics that work in the stock market.
Are there a lot of psychic hookers that work in the stock market?
Hell
No.
yeah. Oh,
Otherwise, they wouldn't hook if they were successful at the stock market.
for the love of the game, Mari.
Yeah, well,
No, I think they're tattooed podcasters, actually.
I'm not a hooker. What are you talking about?
You blow people's minds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just yell at you about the three initiates who wrote the Kabbalion, who were secretly just some dude named William Walter Atkinson, and you should just do a big serious occultism instead. Nay, we go digging and find another of Atkinson's occult-themed books under yet a totally different phony pen name, where he explains how the reader may hone their clairvoyance skill and gain actual force powers, because this week, we're continuing our exploration of esoteric self-help classic, The Power of Clairvoyance and Telepathy, the occult teachings of Swami Panchadasi. I'm your host, Luke Madrid, also known as Hack Rabbit. I'm joined this week by the suspicious K9 ninja with a P90 and a milk bone, Marisama. The white chocolate waffle corn unicorn, Astra.
Hello.
And the ghost writer with the giant magic wand of whimsy, Tim, the big stick hacker.
You know what they say about people with big sticks.
Big socks.
No, you can
Can beat the out of people easier.
In a wizard hat?
maybe sometimes.
Speak softly, carry a big stick.
Exactly.
And by stick, we mean laser guns. So we are back this week. We had a little bit of a personal moving time.
It's a little risky for R&R! If I say it's safe to surf this beach, Captain, it's safe to surf this beach! I mean, I know I'm afraid to surf this place. I'm safe to surf this place!
And we are now back. In our last episode, we discussed the astral senses and how to begin using them such that one may achieve clairvoyance to see, say, hidden items, send or receive psychic messages, or how to scan objects for their history, which is sometimes known as psychometry. But seeing into the past clairvoyantly does not always require the use of props or a physical item. This is because past events do not truly disappear, but continue to exist on a subtle level known as the astral plane, recorded in what some traditions call the Akashic Records.
Or Thoth.
They just called the Thoth.
Well, he's a record keeper.
These records are described as a kind of universal memory embedded in a subtle substance, sometimes called the universal aether, preserving every event, thought, and experience throughout all space-time. It's how God keeps track of your soul's credit score.
Is now a good time to bring up Hode? Or no?
I think on the Kabbalistic tree, that's probably where...
You can access them from.
That is where, yes.
Right?
I would...
Yeah.
Well, and you have the relationship of Mercury, right? Which can also easily relate Mercury to Thoth as a record keeper. So this would be like the magician being able to access.
Yes, it's sometimes conceptualized as a storehouse of images or forms. So it's like a library in that sense. It has an indexing quality to it, just much like what we're talking about with the Akashic Records.
So if you ever have like a dream where you're in like a library, it's like a weird library of the universe, that's probably where you could place it on the Tree of Life.
Well, if you wanted to access the Akashic Records and you were doing something like visualization or meditation, you might imagine God's library or the most fancy sacred library you could imagine. That would help you bridge the gap to accessing the Akashic Records if you were so psychically able, let's say.
I've also heard of in near-death experiences, a lot of people do their life review within the Akashic Records area.
Yeah.
But some people describe it as like this big, it's like a big nexus point where everyone's there studying like the various things. Like you can get knowledge of everything in the entire universe on all timelines. At the same time, you can like look back at your own life or like people you're near to or dear to. And then some people describe it as, you know, you pull a book off the shelf and then there's a viewing room where you go in and watch it kind of like a movie.
Have you guys ever had the Universal Library dream?
No.
Nope, not once. I
What's it looking like?
definitely have like adventure dreams all the time though, yeah.
I've had the Universal Library dream a few times, and each time the library is a little bit different, but the general feeling and theme of it is kind of the same. And it always, for some reason, translates to like the one that I remember the most. It translates to this like 2-story kind of Greek building with these giant pillars, and there are other people in there that are, you know, reading, studying, looking at stuff.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Those are the aliens, my love.
No,
they're other people.
Other psychics.
My dreams are never like esoteric. They're always like horror movie style, like escape dreams, adventure dreams, or like giant spiders or giant crocodiles and shit.
My dreams are always super random.
I also don't think that you can access it if you're not You know, if you're kind of disqualified to some degree or another, like, you know, like people who take DMT, for example, and then they have beings that tell them that they're not allowed to be there.
They get kicked out.
Yeah, I think you can get kicked out of Akashic Records if you're like
Yeah,
not supposed to be there.
if you walk into the Akashic Records and you walk straight into the compendium of used panties or something.
You're like, I'm here to party, and they're like, get the out.
I think the important occult feature of the Akashic Records is this ontological assumption that everything you think, every feeling you've ever had, even the ones you don't want anyone to know about, is recorded there forever.
Including your parties.
Uh-oh. Somebody's been a bad lizard.
That's the important part for me. So, like, when you are reading autobiography of Yogananda, and Yogananda is studying with his teacher, and he wants to swat the mosquito on his leg, which is in direct opposition to his oath of ahimsa, right? Which is an oath to do no harm. His master, Sri Yukteswar, looks at him and is like, just swat the mosquito, you want to anyway. And Yogananda's like, what? He's like, yeah, the point is not to stop doing harm. The point is to extinguish the desire to do harm. So that means no matter how you feel about what you're doing, you can't fake it with God or whatever. And this is something that Christ says in the Gospel of Thomas, like, don't do what you hate because everything will be revealed. I don't remember exactly what line it is.
It comes from your heart.
And so the idea here is that if you've attained a certain level of clairvoyance, you can access this astral memory or this Akashic record freely. Just don't keep going back to the used panty section. They will kick you out. Now, if anyone's played Cyberpunk 2077, they do something similar through a high-tech means called brain dances. And this allows users to play back recorded information, sometimes from a third-person perspective. And it works a little like psychometry, and it works a little bit like the Akashic Record, but it's all just high-tech stuff. But, you know, that would be the... Like, if we move into a future where absolutely everything is digitally recorded, where every single movement and every little biorhythmic data is recorded somewhere, that'd be like the shadow layer of the Akashic Record.
So are they just trying to make this happen in real life with all the surveillance?
You know, after we did those episodes about Project Looking Glass, because that's related to what we're talking about, other people have begun to put their brains on it. And a lot of people agree, if you have enough computers predicting the future, you can kind of create the future. And so if you had some psychic means of predicting the future, and then in the future you had some high-tech means of manipulating it, well, now you're creating loops and weird I don't know, I'm already confused. But hey, look, I'm not the expert.
So, like, what if you were totally obsessed with Sailor Moon when you were younger?
And Japanese cartoons played some part in that?
People couldn't figure that out about you if they looked at the Akashic Records, right?
That's because Sailor Moon is hot.
I love Tuxedo Mask.
I suspect that this is also just written in your DNA as time goes on. Like, everything that you experience is embedded in you. So,
or in your energetic field. Not necessarily DNA, but the energetic field can also affect your DNA.
The aura.
yeah, it's all interconnected, right? So this ability that we're talking about, it varies widely between individuals, and it should be approached with caution and with discipline. Some people may glimpse past events spontaneously, while others do require training and concentration to develop the skill. Blindly assuming all visions are true or mystical is not exactly a good idea. You should always maintain healthy skepticism and common sense, which isn't so common.
That's true. Yeah, and clairvoyance of the future or future time clairvoyance is the opposite to all that. And pretty much the ability to see things before they happen. You ever seen the Final Destination movies?
Is that the one with the logs that come off the truck?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's the second one.
I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to.
So yeah, they include prophecy, premonitions, and second sight.
That's the one magic ability I feel confident having is prophecy. And sometimes I even experience automatic knowing sporadically. So this is the one thing I kind of sort of have.
And since doing those episodes, we've had one Iran war, and we are on the brink of an alien invasion. And I'll be 2 for 2 when that happens. I want you all to remember.
In the book, our teacher Swami Panchadasi says that this is not a supernatural phenomena at all, but operates under natural laws similar to other forms of clairvoyance. At a basic level, some future seeing is explained in the text as highly advanced subconscious reasoning, where the mind unconsciously processes subtle details, emotions, and patterns to predict likely outcomes. In this sense, the future can sometimes be anticipated because present conditions already contain the causes that will produce future results, though unexpected factors can always change the outcome.
I'm trying not to be manic about this, but I am a huge subscriber subscriber to this idea that your subconscious is keeping track of all those details, and it makes predictions with an accuracy that I think most people would find hard to believe.
Agree.
I suspect we don't readily have access to this information all the time because it would make being an incarnated being with a physical body and an ego pretty much impossible. I think
You would go crazy.
you'd be too dissociated, spaced out, or mystical to pass on offspring or feed yourself properly. I think
Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face.
That's not your jam. It's not your thing. You don't like it?
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
it'd be too much.
You know what this reminds me of is like when people describe future events as being possibilities like forks in the path. So there's, you know, a fork in the road and it could go like, let's say 4 different likely possibilities. You have all this subconscious information that's being stored, and then you have this inclination that these are the possibilities. And that also kind of goes on like an if this, then this kind of mathematical assessment, which you might not even consciously know that you're doing this if this, then this, which makes one path or the other. If your subconscious is at least half decent at predicting the chaotic elements that may or may not influence it, then you might end up with even more branches that branch off of those. And it can get kind of confusing, but that's how it seems to me at least. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would agree. It's almost like your brain is calculating something, and the simple act of observing and calculating into the future opens you up to different branches. So this is in effect, it's the same thing as saying you have free will, but you also don't have free will at the same time, because there are two branches that exist in all of creation. Like there's another multiverse where you do the opposite, but you are actively thinking about and choosing which path you are going to take. So there is free will, but it is still predetermined in a certain way from a higher perspective, that is. Anyway, that's what I think.
What I find really cool about this is that the unknown elements that may or may not influence it, that make more branches of possibilities, they're not always bad things. Like sometimes the chaotic unknown element is actually the thing that is a blessing that makes something more likely. So trying to close it off to unknown factors might actually be counterintuitive.
And I believe people that are creatively minded, like if you have an ability to think outside the box and be like, I can go left or I can go right, or I could go up, like not a lot of people are going to think about that option. So by having that creative aspect of your thought process, you could be opening up multiple parallel realities that you can jump into versus only left or right.
Yeah, if you open yourself up to beneficial spontaneity, then I think you're probably going to be welcoming more beneficial spontaneity as those unknown factors into the possibilities.
I think that there are probably patterns that your subconscious can pick up on that we have no idea about. Like, I learned very little basic amount of how machine learning works the last few days. Essentially, you just feed the data back to itself, and the computer figures out a way to, like, weight the different categories that it's looking for and then draw conclusions. And we've had millions of years to evolve that stuff, like, somewhere inside of us. And the best we can do is, like, build shoddy versions. And the shoddy versions can predict reality pretty well. So it just makes sense that there's something inside of us that can keep track of everything. And there's a part of you that knows exactly when you've shuffled the right amount of times. Like when you're doing tarot. And you should try and depthen that relationship you have with that feeling. Like, I'm going to bring it up. In Star Wars, the fact check is always search your feelings. And I believe the mechanism works this way. Your subconscious is so good at keeping track of information that if you have attuned yourself emotionally to be sensitive, you can react emotionally to that information that you have stored in your subconscious. And because emotions you can feel strongly, you can feel the emotions better than you can outright read the information, which might be filtered to you. And oftentimes the wisdom traditions are like, well, you have to follow your heart. You have to follow the intelligence of your heart if your brain won't show you the way.
I think to speak to that, your health or lack of health in your subconscious is absolutely going to energetically influence that as well.
Oh, I mean, that's interesting, right? Because you can make outcomes happen. Like, how much of that is manifestation and how much chaos is built into the universe that we're just like slipping and sliding on top of?
Like, if you want to invite the more beneficial spontaneity, chaotic, unknown aspects, then actually having that within yourself attracts it. Like if your subconscious is like a kind of grungy, dark place that you don't like to deal with and you push stuff down into it, and that's probably what's going to influence the unknown aspects. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Like light from a distant star. We're not seeing that light. It's long gone. And time could be similar. The future we experience or have yet to experience already exists, but just not visible to our perception. Just like how we can't see the true light from a star. Advanced clairvoyants are said to access a higher level of reality where all moments exist together, allowing them glimpses of future events. This is sometimes described as viewing a reflection of a higher universal consciousness, where the entire timeline of events is already present and can be partially perceived.
So the way it works when I'm reading tarot, it's not terribly unlike driving a car. The further away something is, the more you have a chance to not collide with it. But if you're going too fast to change direction or stop, there's a cone of inevitability forming in front of you. Driving such that your cone of inevitability overlaps with the back of someone's car is called tailgating. I assume the future works in the same way. Some stuff you cannot avert because you're too close. You're like pretty much right up on it and you're going too fast. But that's why they tell you divine short, so you can see what's right in front of you, and enchant long, meaning do your magic so that it will come to fruition far in the future because you'll get better results. And it's for the same principle. It's because you can redirect your vehicle if you have more time to redirect it.
So you're basically saying emergency magic is panicked magic.
You know, yeah, chaos magicians, they bring this up where it's like you can't rely on your emergency magic all the time. That's not good. You should try and get that same magic early before you have to panic. Now, there's also this concept in Hermeticism where you can break down the 12 signs of the zodiac into their 4 elements, which then break down into a triplicity, where each element has a cardinal, fixed, and mutable aspect. This relates to what we're talking about to some degree because there are some events in time that are cardinal. They're ordained to initiate at a certain time. Others are fixed in time, and there's no changing them, as if they're locked, or they're like background events that you're not able to change, like the time period you live in, or you were born without a foot, whatever. Then there's mutable events, which can be switched up, changed, altered, or redirected entirely. They could be good, they could be bad. It's how you deal with them. And so the zodiac in the Hermetic tradition has these different features that you can work with or avoid in time.
But future clairvoyance appears in many forms, from vague intuitions to detailed visions, and can be developed through the same methods as other psychic abilities such as concentration, meditation, psychometry, or crystal gazing. It requires a strong intention and focused attention towards the future. That is how you develop this ability. Still, what is seen is not necessarily what happens. My point is that the future and past are always influencing each other, and human free will can also throw a wrench into the machine, which causes alternate things to happen than what was seen, which means future clairvoyance can be deceiving and unreliable to a degree that all practitioners should keep in mind. Overall, future clairvoyance is a spectrum of perception, shaped by both natural cause and effect and unknowable influences from countless angles.
You know what this reminds me of? Like the element of human free will. That sometimes you'll hear stories of a divination from an oracle where they say like, this is going to happen. I see this. Or maybe they don't say this is going to happen. They just say like, this is what I see.
Yeah.
And then if it's a negative thing, the person who's getting that message tries their damnedest to avoid that thing. And it's that exact thing that makes it happen. The trying to avoid it, which is the use of your human free will, sometimes is the thing that throws the wrench into it that makes that thing happen.
Okay, so if you knew your occult language well enough, if you saw a bull during that vision, it might mean you can't change it because that's a fixed sign. Whereas if you saw twins standing at a door, that's Gemini, it's a mutable sign, you might be able to change it.
I also think there's an element of like, you make friends with the things that you fear, and the thing that maybe that person saw in the future is maybe they did see, let's say, a bull. They saw a bull in the future. And instead of that being a scary thing, you faced your fear and you made friends with bulls. And that's actually the thing that they saw.
Yeah, and then the fixed element turns into a good thing after all.
Yeah, this is just a reiteration of that fear is never productive. Fear can drive you into the fate that you're trying to avoid. But if you accept the whatever prophecy or vision and you come to terms with it, and like Haka says, make friends with it.
That's true.
Or, you know, you don't have to regard it as the truth. You do have free agency. So again, this is why, like, when I do divination or when I get it done, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Like, whatever I hear, and this is why I read also tarot cards. I read them, but like, if they come out upside down, I'll read the upright as well as the inverted meaning, because to me, it could go either way. And just getting a warning of something bad that could happen, it can help me make better choices, but it should not be something that I fear and avoid, because that could make it it manifest, right?
Like if you read an inverted card as a blockage of that energy, then it lets you know what specific kind of energy you're going to need to work on within that reading. And that can actually turn it into, because you're putting the effort to work on it instead of just being fearful of it being inverted. You're putting the energy into it to work on that energy in the correct or rightful expression of that in its application, and that is the thing that makes it no longer inverted.
Right. It's like what you said about confronting the bull. It's the same idea.
Yeah, in my opinion, there are no bad cards in tarot, upright or inverted. So next up, we're going to explore the idea of second sight and prevision from the book. From myriad cultures throughout history, people have reportedly perceived future events before they occurred, and these experiences often appear as vivid visions or dreams, or even symbolic impressions, sometimes foretelling death, disaster, or major life events with unsettling accuracy.
Oh man, that reminds me of a story I heard just the other day. So when the planes hit the buildings at 9/11, apparently there were all these floors that were roped off for art installations. I'm sure some people have heard conspiracy theories around that.
No.
But I am telling you right now.
But it wasn't just the European group that was doing it. It was open to a lot of different artists. So you'd get like, a fourth of the floor to do your installation, right?
Yeah.
So one of the artists that was working on one of the top floors, he was a sculptor. I think he was a painter too, but he was working on a sculpture, and the sculpture that he was debuting there was a statue of him. It was like based on a saint that was a martyr. It's like a saint that usually has like bow and arrows all stuck in him. I forget which one it was, but it was like a replica of this saintly statue, but it was the artist with airplanes stuck in his body. And this guy was one of the unfortunate people. He was working so hard on his installation, he actually spent the night that night and died.
No way.
Yeah, but his statue had all the airplanes in it, like as if it was killing him, martyring him, and then it happened.
Saint Sebastian.
Yeah, that's the guy. But yeah, the artist made a statue based on that with airplanes, and that's how he died.
See, that's a great example of, was it psychic? Was it overlap? It's all those things.
It's like an artistic inspiration that comes out, but you don't recognize it as like a vision. You know what I mean?
If you want more information on this, check out our episode about psychic self-defense by Dion Fortune. She argues, not us, she argues that some quote-unquote races are more or less susceptible to psychic visions, such as seeing family members in dreams before they die, or just knowing that a disaster is going to come. I don't remember off the top of my head. I remember she says like Celtic people.
Yeah, there's a particular focus on Celtics.
Which is interesting because if you just go online or if you have Celtic friends, there are stories like, oh, an old hag came to me and was yelling at me all night when I woke up. My uncle was dead. Or some people, they just know that their uncle was dead or their uncle visited them in a dream. This is fairly common, even for people that are not into the paranormal. That being said, this particular text highlights that such abilities are not rare in human history, appearing in prophets, mystics, and, like we said, ordinary individuals. Groups like the Society for Psychical Research has documented them, and now in the future we know that the CIA has at least looked into it and had some success. Several famous examples include accurate predictions of death, disasters, and even large-scale historical events like the French Revolution. These cases illustrate different forms of prevision. Some are spontaneous and symbolic, others are precise and literal. This chapter also notes that certain groups, such as people living in mountains or isolated regions, seem more prone to this ability of second sight. And, as Dion Fortune would tell you, it can run in the family. In some instances, visions act as warnings, allowing individuals to change their actions and prevent the predicted outcomes, suggesting that the future is not always fixed, but can in some cases be altered. Now, the Swami Panchadasi warns practitioners to avoid making public predictions because such knowledge can disturb people psychologically. It can diminish the meaning of one's life because uncertainty is part of it. And lastly, it can lead to a misuse of the ability.
I think also telling everyone about the vision can contaminate the premonition itself because of all the psychic activity and the attention.
I think if you make it public or you bring it to the attention of a lot of people, they can end up putting a lot of psychic energy into it to make it happen. And that's kind of a bad thing if it's a negative thing. And also, if you think of it like forks of paths, it can can make it so that this path, which was just a possibility, is now the most likely thing.
Because it has the psychic attention.
Yeah, you're giving it attention, and, energy goes where attention flows. So.
It's also why when a wizard or a witch wants to cast an enchantment, they can use the attention of a lot of different people, but in order to avoid their conscious mind interfering, it would only be apprehensible to the subconscious mind, such that you may fill your opening ceremony with a bunch of pageantry, which a bunch of unhinged conspiracy theorists might call ritual, but in all honesty is just being a responsible warlock, if you ask me.
That's like the secrecy aspect of it, right? Where the meaning of it and the outcome of it is kept hidden, but its mechanism to make it go is made public so that people still feed into it.
Yeah, so it's like steering the boat instead of being washed away by the current.
I'm going to make this thing happen that has to do with this other thing, and the symbolism has to do with dogs. So I'm going to use my dog, and anyone who says hi to my dog, talks to me about my dog, pets my dog, is going to feed into that thing which is hidden.
Okay, what does Swami Panchadasi have to say about astral travel?
Astral travel is the one that I was into most when I first got into woo-woo stuff concerning esoteric powers and whatnot.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Some people do confuse clairvoyant vision with astral body travel, though. They're easy to confuse. They're hard to distinguish apart. They're often confused because they can appear similar. In clairvoyance, a person can perceive distant places, scenes, or events as if watching a vivid movie in front of them, clear, detailed, and sometimes three-dimensional, but still separate from the observer. You can't interact with stuff in these visions, is the way to sum it up for a 5-year-old. Whereas when you're doing astral travel, you can kind of play with stuff.
Yeah, like when I astral teabag Rabbit King. In contrast, astral body traveling is full immersion, in which the person feels physically present within the scene, able to look in all directions and interact with the environment, even depending on various factors. Clairvoyance is viewing. Astral travel, you're actually there. During astral travel, the astral body, a subtle counterpart to the physical body, separates and moves through the astral plane away from the body, typically while the body is asleep or in a trance.
You know what psychic self-defense is? If you know people are astrally teabagging you, you make it so that every time they astrally teabag you, it feeds into something else.
And you just never wash your astral nuts.
I only eat the most spicy astral food, so the joke is on your astral scrotum.
No wonder it stings. Even untrained individuals may experience this unconsciously during sleep, sometimes recalling fragments as unusually vivid dreams. In more advanced cases, the traveler may perceive real-time events, interact with distant environments, or even appear to others as a visible presence. The experience is marked by a strong sense of embodiment and participation, unlike the more detached observation of clairvoyance.
Spicy nuts.
Yeah, clairvoyance is like you're watching a movie, but astral travel is like you send your spirit to a place to like be there in physical space.
So the author says the following: we enter here upon an entirely new variety of clairvoyance, in which the consciousness of the seer no longer remains in or closely connected with his physical body, but is definitely transferred to the scene which he is examining. Though it has no doubt greater dangers for the untrained seer than either of the other methods, it is yet quite the most satisfactory form of clairvoyance open to him. In this case, the man's body is either asleep or in a trance, and its organs are consequently not available for use while the vision is going on, so that all description of what is seen, and all questioning as to further particulars, must be postponed until the wanderer returns to this plane. On the other hand, the sight is much fuller and more perfect. The man hears as well as he sees everything which passes before him, and he can move about freely, at will, within the very wide limits of the astral plane. He has also the immense advantage of being able to take part, as it were, in the scenes which come before his eyes, of conversing at will with various entities on the astral plane, and from whom so much information that is curious and interesting may be obtained. If in addition he can learn how to materialize himself, a matter of no great difficulty for him once the knack is acquired, he will be able to take part in physical events or conversations at a distance, and to show himself to an absent friend at will.
Whoa.
Again, he will have the additional power of being able to hunt about for what he wants.
Wait a minute. That's crazy. That's also in Star Wars. I don't want to say which one because people are going to get mad at me. Let's continue.
By means of the other varieties of clairvoyance, for all practical purposes, he may find a person or place only when he is already acquainted with it, or when he is put en rapport with it by touching something physically connected with it, as in psychometry.
Cool.
By the use of the astral body, however, a man can move about quite freely and rapidly in any direction, and can, for example, find without difficulty any place pointed out upon a map, without either any previous knowledge of the spot or any object to establish a connection with it. He can also readily rise high into the air so as to gain a bird's eye view of the country which he is examining, so as to observe its extent, the contour of its coastlines, or its general character. Indeed, in every way, his power and freedom are far greater when he uses this method than they are in any of the lesser forms of clairvoyance.
Whoa. So you could like burst through the ceiling and get like a drone's eye view of stuff if you're like a baller. This is some witchy stuff. I've heard stories of this, like where people go astral traveling, they can feel the air or the wind drops on them. You know what I mean? And they come back to their body. I've heard of such things.
Yeah, like when I visit you.
Mm-hmm. I'm eating peppers right now.
No, I hate that. There is also the bizarre nature of astral visitation, which is especially possible in cases involving strong emotional states like death, danger, or deep attachments. Individuals, particularly those near death, may appear to loved ones. I think this is called a crisis apparition in the paranormal, in like what seems like a physical or semi-physical form, sometimes even speaking or interacting. A lot of times at the exact time of death, too, suggesting that weakened ties to the physical body makes such projections easier, while intense desire or emotional focus provides the driving force. Everyone actually experiences this phenomenon, whether they know it or not. You don't have to have occult abilities or anything like that, because it's actually a very natural experience. We just usually aren't conscious of it. Like, usually people astral project when they're dreaming, and who the hell remembers their dreams but like 1% of the population?
Yeah, especially the deeper you go, it's harder to remember, so.
Yeah. However, despite it being natural and everybody doing it no matter what, doing it naturally is very different than doing it consciously. While doing it unconsciously, one is generally safe across the board. Like, it just naturally protects you, like you're in straight mode. However, conscious astral travel is not generally safe at all.
Hey, you don't belong here.
Like, try astral projecting to the moon, right?
Is that a known place you're not supposed to astral project to? The moon?
Yeah, you're not supposed to go there. Well, according to the lore, I'm not claiming I've done it before, I haven't. But according to like I read, yeah. If you go to the moon, people are like, get the hell out of here.
Why go to the moon when you can go to the black hole at the center of our galaxy?
Because that's where the reptilians are, and the reptilians are like, dude, off, bro.
No, they're on Saturn.
But with like, basically everything is the speed of thought. So if you don't have inner work and you go astral projecting, you're basically going to be in a scene of Hellraiser.
We have such sights to show you.
Spicy nuts.
I'm going straight to Sagittarius A star with love.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Why don't you just start with your house? You know, like.
Yeah, that is what you're supposed to start with. Just wandering around your house. And hopefully, like, you don't got demons come and suck your soul out.
Oh, like you.
Spicy nuts.
It gets boring after a while going around your house.
So the astral has many levels, some of which are unsettling or harmful to the unprepared. Patience and growth is required to do this. Gradual development and guidance from experienced practitioners. When you are somewhere that functions at the speed of thought, it can take you to unfortunate places really quick, as well as draw unfortunate things to you, if you get what I mean.
You know me.
In the astral plane, it's an ocean, so in every ocean there's going to be predators. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil, but they've got to hunt, you know?
What about the boat times?
That wasn't really a time, was it, Greg? That was more of a just an exposure.
So like you were saying, like start with your house. I think maybe a good exercise for this is, you know, just envisioning walking around your house. Maybe also if you can't find something, let's say you lose your camera. You have a camera, you want to go take brilliant professional photos somewhere, but for some reason you can't find your camera anywhere. If you just try sitting down and visualize walking through your house to find the camera, that actually can sometimes help you find it.
Because your subconscious is stored its location.
That's true.
That's how I find things. I imagine the object very intensely in my mind's eye. I think about its weight, its color, its texture, and then I allow my hands and feet to wander as I focus all of my attention on the qualities of the object. I oftentimes find that I am subconsciously pulled towards the direction of the object or somewhere where I'll see it, and that works for me personally.
I just walk around the house looking for it in the astral. Because if you know it and you know what it feels like, energetically and physically, you walk around your house or wherever you are in the astral, it makes itself more prominent. So when you're looking around, it's boom. There it is.
I've woken up from dreams where I'm looking for something in the house, or like I found the thing in the car. I'll wake up from dreams like that.
Like you've been there before multiple times where I've been like, hold on a second, and I close my eyes and walk around. I'm like, oh, it's over here.
Yeah.
Act 3, Strange Astral Phenomena.
Phenomena.
There is also a variety of bizarre astral phenomena, such as thought form projection, a type of astral phenomena that exists between ordinary clairvoyance and full astral body travel.
Spicy nuts.
Thoughts can take on subtle forms in astral planes, and in some cases, a person can project a detailed image of themselves or another scene to a distant location. These projected forms may even be perceived by others with heightened sensitivity, acting as a kind of remote presence. Once again, force Skyping. Unlike full astral travel, however, the person's consciousness remains in the physical body, but maintains a connection to the thought form, allowing them to receive impressions from it, almost like using it as a distant viewpoint or observation point, like an astral drone. Perhaps that's what UFOs actually are. I've solved a mystery.
Phenomena.
Do 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 do.
Phenomena.
Do 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 do.
Now, this part of the text also describes more advanced forms of this ability, where powerful individuals can create large-scale, vivid thought form illusions. These illusions, however, appear real to the observers. Our author states that many so-called magical feats, especially like those reported in places like India, that many of the apparitions or miracles seen are projected astral images, rather than physical transformations. There's a lot of examples we could go to here, such as yogis levitating, the famous mango tree trick, where a magician appears to plant a seed only to have it rapidly grow to a full tree bearing fruit within minutes. The occult explanation is not that a real tree was grown from a thought form, but a vivid mental image was imposed upon the observer's perception.
You know what a good example of this is? That one chick in Stranger Things that does the illusions.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There is also the instance of our political ruling class actually being reptilians, and they just project a vivid mental image of a human being that we perceive as a human. Unless you've dropped enough acid, in which case you could see through their filters.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Ant people.
Yep, some of them are ant people. You have to put the they live glasses on. Anyways, these phenomena rely on intense mental discipline, which is why they work so hard. Visualization, memory, and willpower, and are perceived only by those whose astral senses are stimulated or attuned by the practitioner. So if you stop watching the reptilian TV shows and eating the reptilian food, it stops working on you. That's what Swami Panchadasi is saying. I'm not taking any poetic license whatsoever. Finally, the text emphasizes that such abilities require years of rigorous training, particularly in concentration and visualization. So it's good to use your imagination, but in a very boring way. I hope that makes sense. Practitioners must develop extraordinary control over their thoughts and the ability to hold detailed mental images with precision. The difference between Eastern and Western traditions is here highlighted in the text. Swami says that Eastern practitioners historically are known for focusing better on internal mental imagery and psychic development, where Westerners tend to cultivate outward perception and focus on material creation.
Because the Western cultures are full of materialism.
Yeah, but it was sort of highfalutin occultism at the time to be like, well, yes, but they're complementary for all these reasons.
Yeah, let's not lie. Stuff is pretty awesome.
I'm just thinking about like Las Vegas magicians, like the actual illusionary magician work. It seems like they do entrance their audience and project a vision to get people to respond to their magic tricks when it's really sleight of hand that's being shielded by, honestly, their psychic projection. If people can see through it, if they know how the trick is done, or if they're skeptical. But aside from that, they're pretty good at, I wouldn't say that performing miracles is tricking people, but from the Eastern context, then it would be considered a miracle to pull a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak.
I think it's like a conglomerate of mentalism, sleight of hand, and aura farming.
Yeah.
Those examples, yeah.
Because a magician is not good unless he has the audience captivated.
Yes, that makes sense. It's basically the same thing. If I could fool you, you deserved it. There's one trope often repeated that, Easterners just sit better and stare at their navel for long times. And Westerners can't sit still. And that's why I have all these complicated rituals to ensnare the conscious mind while the subconscious mind actually does the work. I find that to be a compelling argument.
I would agree. Sometimes my best meditation comes when my active left brain is occupied with some mundane task.
So Swami says, if you're really tapped in and you're around somebody that, let's say they think the same thought or they feel the same feeling a lot, they may have an astral object that you could see around them that encapsulates this thought or idea.
But if you'd like to hear about the ability to make
Actual objects move with your mind, an ability that is properly called telekinesis.
Poltergeists aren't ghosts, they're telekinesis.
You're a ghost.
You take that back.
No.
How to dominate people's minds using your aura.
Aura farming.
One of my favorites. That's how I fooled my wife into marrying me.
Nice.
She's just smiling. It's still working. And some exercises that you can practice to become a more powerful psychic. Then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of $5 or better will get you not just unlimited access to the extended uncensored version of this episode. You'll get the uncensored extended version of every single one of our episodes, which goes back over 7 years, which I hear is an exceedingly magical number and makes everything that we've ever said on the podcast 100% true without ever making a mistake.
That's true.
That's true.
And you can be a part of the story now as well with just access to your phone, but also the distinct possibility that you will have to eat carrots and shoot lasers.
Pew pew pew.
Pew pew.
Pew 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 pew.